Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Blue Dragon 5 here.
And Jacob Weil.
And you guessed it, we're talking about blood spatter, crack, Invincible. Season 2, Episode 6. It's not that simple. Sorry, that's just the way I say it. It's not that simple. That's what the episode's called. We're here to talk about it.
Yeah, like if you notice, like the Amazon Prime, all the episodes in caps, so it's pretty safe to shout it.
Yeah, there you go.
It's not that simple.
Yes. So basically, since coming back from the break, this is kind of like episode 2 of part B or what have you, and we got 2 more left, and that'll be the end of the season. And we're definitely getting more. Bare minimum, we're getting a third season. I think it's smart money that we're getting a lot more than that.
Yeah, it seems that way.
Yeah. But here we are. So Jacob,
Well, maybe it'll last longer than other Amazon superhero shows.
fair point. So Jacob, you're back. You've
Yeah.
you've dipped your toe back into the show. You're caught up. How do you feel about it?
Well, I mean, not much has changed from how my opinions on the show before. Still very entertaining, still very gory, you know, and still a lot of stuff that makes you go, "Oh God!"
Oh yeah.
Especially in the end of the previous episode, as you guys were talking about, which
Yeah.
which fortunately one of the characters involved in that did actually survive.
Yes. Rohit. That despite Rohit's prayers, that character survived.
It's like, did he actually want the character to die?
No, well, he has made light of it in a really, really sadistic way. So, and that's
Well, Dragon, that's not exactly far off from what you do most of the time.
Well, still though, I mean, I was sad about shrinking Ray's potential demise, and he was making like taste like chicken jokes. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, the guy inside was like, tasty.
exactly. So
Yeah. And of course, somehow Rex survived being shot in the head.
yeah.
So, I mean, it's still pretty cool though to have him actually like survive both, hand getting shot off and getting literally shot through the head,
Yeah, I mean,
and
hand
then
bitten off, and then yeah,
and then then straight up like one shot the Lizard King, whatever. What's his name?
yeah. And that's Lizard King. That's the one.
Oh yeah, like and straight up like one shot Lizard King, like all by himself,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool.
To be fair, Lizard King really didn't seem like much of a physical threat. I mean, he had a gun, but aside from
I
that,
mean, he was like more of a he was like
he was more Manson than he was, like kind of
more of a planner than anything else,
exactly.
like a charismatic leader kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, but still pretty cool. I mean, it's more impressive on obviously Rex's side considering what just happened to his body.
Yeah, so that honestly, I think the running theme of the episode, just with that scene, and I think a lot of the other aspects. Now, again, it seems to be the pattern. I meant to double check this with all the episodes, but for the majority of the episodes of season 2, at least, all pulled from like lines from the comic, specifically the comic.
When I was on, you specifically mentioned it's been a while.
Yeah, exactly. Now, some of these lines have manifest themselves in the show, but I can't remember if it's not that simple necessarily made it into this episode or not. But it is from the scene in which Mark and Art have their little conversation in the comic. So that's where this line comes from. I forget if it made it into the episode or not when they're talking.
Yeah, all right.
Regardless, just that line, is looking at it's not that simple. And again, this could just be me reading into things because again, that's where they got the episode title from. But I like to think thematically, looking at it here, it's like it's not that simple in terms of everything you're kind of making a like an instant like we were saying we thought Rex was a goner, seemingly is a goner, but it's not that simple.
He's like, yep, he's loses probably a crap ton of blood.
Debbie Grayson, she's in a really untenable situation here. One could say that is not that simple.
Raising a half alien baby that's the son of her ex-husband.
Yep, and then we have the whole relationship drama. You guessed it, it's
It's
not
not
that
that
simple.
simple.
The immortal processing grief for the first time in a while. You know
it's
what?
it's not
It's
that's
not
not
that
that
simple.
simple. Yep.
You see the pattern.
Yes, I do see the pattern.
I like it. So, all right. So I guess we resolve our cliffhangers this episode. We have the fate of
Well,
Rex
see,
Splode.
we seemingly handle some of the take over some of the handle some of those cliffhangers.
You're right. We do. We kind of double dip a cliffhanger, but we'll we'll get
Yep.
there in a
Yep.
second.
At the end, and you're like, well, that was pointless.
Yeah.
Yep. Poor Russ.
Yep.
Okay, going on, Dragon.
All right. So again, the fate of Rex Splode. One, I love how this is intercut. By the way, we intercut our two cliffhangers, and we kind of do it. We do it at the top here. We kind of have like both. We kind of think about this. We resolve our climaxes up front, essentially as an extended opening, and yeah, like the rest of the episode is very much the aftermath. So yeah, that's impressive. I think when it's something unexpected in a good way.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's see. So
And,
Rex again gets shot in the head, but yet he lives somehow. I'd like to think probably due to his power. Some people have drawn like a humorous diagram of like Rex having like his brain just all like to like half the side. So he basically it kind of went through and through for that reason.
and also probably some part of it adrenaline as well.
I think the majority, honestly, you know what I read it as. I read it as it's sort of like the almost like the it's kind of like the chicken with its head cut off kind of idea. The idea there is some brain activity
But
after suffering.
it didn't exactly go through all like the nerve center of his brain. Just like clip the side of his brain.
Yeah, but it's like the idea too of Jacob. Did you ever see the movie Premium Rush?
Uh,
Michael Shannon, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, the Bike Messenger movie.
no, I haven't. I didn't see that one.
Okay, let's just say there's a moment in that movie where someone gets shot in the head, and they have this really haunting moment. Like there's like some brain activity before they eventually die, and I like to think it's kind of like that's kind of where my mind went with this, where it's like there's like a little bit of like the brain is going through the motions before it completely stops. So potentially that's what's happening here. But again, thanks to majority probably being adrenaline, maybe a little bit of powers, a little bit of dumb luck. I mean, I forget what the whole. It's been years since I've looked into it, but the whole like the brain shard thing, like some parts of the brain are on the left side, some parts are on the right side. Batman the animated series, like essentially they got it like mirrored apparently in real life, like the dreams are on one side of the brain, the
I think
readings
that
on the other side.
I think the dream part is basically has been pretty much debunked or is a myth.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's been debunked, but I think initially the debunking was that they kind of got the sides wrong. But I think now it's not as simple as that. So either way, it's been debunked. But
I mean, it works obviously in a comic book series, of course.
well, yeah.
I mean, we're talking about a series where you can have like an Earth inside the Earth.
Oh yeah.
So, and all the other stuff that have, but honestly, Dragon, all the stuff that happens in the DCAU, that's one of the more believable things.
True.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm disparaging. That's a great episode. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. Anywho, okay, so Rex, thank goodness, very surprisingly, survives and takes out Lizard King very brutally, very awesome and brutally, where he just like through pure adrenaline of sort of like survival instinct, he just grabs after he disarms him and grabs like he punches him both with his hand and with his disfigured stump.
The funny thing is, like, it's Rex is the one that's been disarmed.
Yes.
Well,
unhand that man, Rex. Oh wait.
Yep. But and for a moment you think, and the thing is, like, even though he does come back to life and he does manage to beat the Lizard King, like, and when he falls back and you see more, he's like, yeah, like, what do you mean? I'm totally fine. And then he falls back and more blood comes out. It's like, is he actually dead now?
I
like,
mean, the moment those guys are there, I mean, we've seen them before, like on the battlefield and everything, where they patch him up when they're there on the scene. So I figured he was going to be fine. I think he's not dead.
But then another sigh of relief comes when Shrinking Ray comes out.
That was surprising. I thought she was an absolute goner. So that was like, oh, here I'll tell you. Okay, we'll put a pin in Shrinking Ray. We're going to get to her thing after we talk about the other climax. But
You mean with the Sequids?
yeah, let's talk about the Sequids. Yeah.
Yeah, the Sequids was pretty dang brutal.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I just love the tension in this whole sequence here, where it's crazy and desperate, and like I just love where it kind of picks up where the whole how the heck are they going to get out of this kind of moment of the shield is broken. There's like a giant tidal wave of the Sequids, and they're protecting Rudy
You mean
and
oh,
Eve
yeah.
as much as they can, and Russ. Meanwhile,
Al-
Russ.
Although it
Oh,
would
there
have
you
been
are.
good, I kind of wish Eve would have like created spacesuits for everyone where they can't penetrate their skin.
Well, no, Jacob, that's the thing. They're all fine. They're all immune to it except for Rudy, who was in a suit of armor until this moment.
All right, that
That's
makes
the thing.
sense.
So they're all immune to if the
Even
Sequid. That's why they're not taking over.
even Monster Girl,
Yeah, well, I mean, as long as she's in like the monster
Monster.
form, she's fine. I mean, I don't know if she's I doubt she's immune to it when she's in the little girl form, but yeah, so she's immune to it. As the monster, she's.
Okay, that makes sense.
So they kind of went over that last time. Why all of them got selected for the mission. Only Rudy wasn't supposed to leave his suit, but yeah.
Yeah.
Look, they did that to make the EMP thing. Anyway, but yeah, so it's a crazy, desperate situation. We have to protect our two vulnerable people to this. Eve, who's got the wind knocked out of her and essentially unconscious and vulnerable, and Rudy's he's building the EMP device, and just they're not taking out Sequids left and right, but it's so overwhelming, very Starro esque.
Kind of reminds me of speaking of like Halo again, kind of like the Flood.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember. I remember mentioning that in a previous episode, like where's like episode of Doug Dodgers that was a parody of the Flood.
Yep.
This also seems very. This seems like more in line to what the Flood actually is. Like kind of like there is actually like there is a hive mind, not as like, but it doesn't. They don't take control of a human. It is like just a giant thing that controls it. It's too much to explain at this point.
Yeah.
But there are kind of like parasites who basically run rampant and take control of people.
Yeah. So Shapesmith. Shapesmith kind of steps up here. He protects, he protects Eve and Rudy, buying him a few minutes there.
Yeah,
Gets the crap bit out of him, very justifiably. So this is all his fault after all.
yeah. You're kind of probably like that considering he's voiced by Ben Schwartz.
Yeah.
It's like a Ben Schwartz character you actually like.
Well, I never said I loved him.
I know, but you like him more than the other characters.
I don't know about. I mean, again, season one. The season one character on Ducktales. That was.
You mean Dewey?
Yeah, Dewey. Yeah.
Dewey was fine. It was good in all three seasons.
No, I don't agree on that. I think Dewey was at his best in the first season, then Dewey fell off.
Well, that's because he had more focus in the first season.
That's what I'm saying. When we gave him focus, he actually did stuff, and then afterward, he just became Dewey. He just kept saying his name. That's all he did.
He did more than that.
Seriously. After that, that's really all he did. Come on.
He did more than that, Dragon.
I don't know about. I mean, if you rewatch that show, I mean, let's see what he really did.
I did rewatch. I've seen that show more than once.
Okay.
Anyway, and besides, it doesn't really. It all it does. All I remember is like it just stems from that one character on Space Force that you don't like. All the others are perfectly fine, and it just stems from that. It's like, oh god, it's the guy from.
No,
Space
there are
Force.
other roles too, Jacob. I mean, his character in in the. In Renfield. I kept thinking every time I think of Renfield, I keep thinking of like the Nicolas Cage vampire movie, but I can't. Like I forget. Oh yeah, he is not the title character of that film.
No, he's not. He's not Renfield.
Exactly. No.
He's the mob lady's son.
I know who Ben Schwartz is in the movie. I'm just saying, that's why I space on the name sometimes of the film.
Yeah, but it's Renfield.
Yeah.
He becomes a vampire too.
Yeah. He does.
Come on. He was meant to be unlikable in that movie.
That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying. I think he leans into that a lot. Even here, a little bit.
All right.
I mean, no one likes. It's literally a point of the show. No one really likes him.
Yeah,
they don't want him to die, but they don't like him.
They still save him at the end of the rescue, though.
To be fair, Invincible saved him. We don't know how the others would have voted.
Yeah, and we sentence him to death. Oh, go!
It's a good cut.
Yep, it's like it was a nice like that was pretty much a nice tension breaker after all that point.
And then we had Invincible going out the airlock, and he's taking out the ships and everything.
It's a good thing it's a good thing the Marslins or whatever what did he call them in the previous episode?
Yeah, I assume Martians. I don't really know if they
He,
had
he
like a.
didn't say Martians, he said like Marsians or something like that.
Maybe that's right. I don't know.
Or Marsoid, I don't know. He didn't say Martian. But
Anyway,
it's a good thing they had space helmets.
well, yeah, I mean they're smart. They know, well, if something happens, we want to be protected. It's like an astronaut. An astronaut goes into space, they're gonna have something like that.
I mean, some of the characters can obviously breathe in space. I mean, look, we have like our thumbnails, 3 characters that are able to breathe in space.
Well, to be fair, Invincible's holding his breath.
And maybe.
Also, so is the Immortal. That's the thing. If you have to hold your breath in space. Alan's not talking. They're all have their mouths closed.
Well, like most people don't even survive that much.
Well, no, you're right about that. I'm just saying, like those. I don't think those three are like the best examples of that. But yes,
I know, but my point is, that was my point.
right.
Okay, like, and honestly, we can start it. Honestly, I feel kind of bad for Rudy in this episode too.
Yeah, Rudy. Poor Rudy can't catch a break because he is genuinely trying to help Monster. I wish Monster Girl would lighten up a little bit because here's the thing.
She acts like he's trying to control her. It's like, no, you idiot. He's not trying to control you. He's trying to help you.
I mean, here's the thing. Okay, you look at it from both sides here. Okay, on one hand, he did overstep in that he chose like the body. He again, this is like when he was like a logic Quado, as I like to call him. He was like like a little mutant Quado guy and robot. Essentially, it's like the robot's logic of just like, okay, well, she seems to like this Rexplode guy. I will make myself in his image, but like as like a teenager.
Yeah.
So that's the overstep, and I think deep down that's what kind of Monster Girl's trying to write. Like he took a big step forward. Like, hey, I would like I have like a bond with you, and I would like to maybe again there's an implied like maybe a romantic thing because I mean he has saved her. He kind of has some feelings for her, but so that's the weird aspect of it that I can understand her hesitancy, but that's not really what we bring to the surface with it here. He genuinely wants he knows the limitation of her powers. He learns that again the more she uses her powers, the younger she's going to become, and he when he was the team leader, he became aware of this, and that's why he wanted to be respectful of that for her. And he's been bringing it up to the Immortal and everything. You keep pushing her like this. You're putting her in risk. But again, her being all stoic and everything, she'll she's not going to complain. So I even that's the thing. Is she wants to go out on her own terms, essentially. If that's what it takes, that's what it takes. But by the same token, she knows that he did all this. Essentially, half of the reason he did what he did was to help her about the whole body shifting thing, like putting his brain into a new body. Essentially, is what he wants to do for her in case her powers go or a risk to her.
Yeah.
Or to help her control it or something. We don't fully know yet, but regardless, it just seems like she could be, especially after did save the days. Maybe I can help you, and she does just try. Hey, let's enjoy the moment, and then I don't know. So Monster Girl's got some issues there, but we'll see how that goes.
It's just coming across as a bit ungrateful.
A little bit, yeah, but it's not Jacob.
Yeah, it's not that
not
simple.
that simple.
Yeah.
There you go. Episode title strikes again. It's not that simple.
You take a shot every time we say that phrase, guys.
It's not that simple.
To people watching, take a shot every time we say that. Actually, don't. You'll die, and we don't want to get sued.
Exactly. Well, no. Where's the we here? You're the one. You're the one advocating alcoholism.
I mean, you're saying it as much as I am.
No, you brought it up.
And technically, I didn't say take a shot of alcohol either.
Ah. Well, you just said they were going to die.
Well, who knows? You can drown from drinking too much water.
Okay. Anyway, but not little shot glasses of water though.
I know. I was just being preemptive.
Okay. Anywho.
Hey, Dragon, we do know a lawyer after all.
We do. He's kind of a sick puppy at times, but we do know a lawyer.
Yeah, he's
He's
like,
not he's not blind and fights crime. That'd make him really cool. But he's the other kind of lawyer.
although unfortunately, I think he's out of our jurisdiction, or we're out of his jurisdiction.
Yep.
I mean, he's in Texas, and neither of us are in Texas.
Yeah, he just practices gun law.
All right, let's move on. So yeah, like that entire thing aboard the ship, pretty cool. And of
Yes.
course, and of course, the actual Russ is saved.
Finally saved.
Yep, or so we think.
Yeah, he's saved-ish.
Saved-ish.
I mean, he's in one piece. He's not stranded. He's not possessed by a whole bunch of them.
Yep.
That's progress. That's something, right?
That's a good step forward.
Okay, big thing here. Immortal showing Invincible some respect. He's very iffy about him because son of On the man that like chopped his head off a bunch of times, and he really doesn't like that.
Yeah, I mean, sin to the father, you know.
But that's the thing. It seems like he's looked past it, and I like they had that moment too, like where he like, hey, look, I'm faster and stronger. Give me the thing. Give me the football. Essentially.
Yeah. It was kind of interesting for that for Immortal to see past that.
Yeah. All right. So I guess the aftermath.
And they return and figure out what exactly happened while they were gone.
Yeah, they learn about the whole Guardians of the Globe aftermath.
Yep.
Rex is in the OR. His duplicate is dead. And Immortal is processing that and shrinking Ray. Now this bit, if I read it right, this bit really is haunting to me. Ray clinging to life, like like a little stasis chamber. But if you notice, I don't know if this could be a perspective thing, but to me, the way I read it, she's not like her new current size is going to be like diminished, and I don't think she's going to be able to fix that. At least not. Well, we won't know until she wakes up. But it looks like she's like shorter than her like her average size. So it looks like there was like trauma in the last shrink.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It looks like it's like a lasting aftermath sort of thing. Where I wonder if we're gonna like show Shrinky Ray had to retire, and now she's gonna be for the rest of her life like 3 feet tall.
Yeah,
but not even like a little person, but like 3 feet tall. Like she's like like she's like a doll or something.
Like, yeah, kind of like, yeah, that would be terrible.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And we learned Rex likes home interior magazines.
Yes, which is rather lovely. I like to think. It's like it was.
It's another facet of Rex.
Yeah. Okay. So, Invincible visits Rex.
Yep.
And yeah, Rex is he essentially the old cliche happened. He saw his life flash before his eyes, and he felt regret. Life. He sees he treated women really crappy in life, and he doesn't want to be that guy anymore. It would seem.
Yep, it's amazing what a near-death experience can do to a person.
So this is a big thing. Unfortunately, Tiki, I really would have loved to have gotten his reaction this week because he was very, especially in the first half of this season. Tiki was coming down on Rex, and I think the arc that we've given this character, I think, has really bought a lot of that back and really felt like this has been the plan all along. We're going to make this guy really abrasive and really, kind of a really abrasive, annoying kind of guy. And a real womanizer and everything. We've really been buying things back here, and I think with the death of Duplicate, his former fling that he cheated on Adam Eve with, like this is progress for him. Like he stepped up, he saved the day. Of course, after a deal with cowardice, I got to run for my life here. But I think he did kind of step up unconventional. I think it's given him a lot to reflect on.
Yep, I do see where that is. It's nice to see him mellowed out a little bit too.
Yeah.
And like I said, the interior decorating magazine is nice little nice little facet of him.
Yeah.
And like he's like, and he was like, he's like, the internet sucks anyway. So I wonder if that was like part of the original character, or if this is something they added for the new show.
That's the thing. I don't.
Because the internet was obviously very different back in, when was this originally written? Like 2004?
That sounds about right.
Yeah, obviously this was very different 20 years ago.
Well, I think it's less a lie. I think it's just more he has like a head injury, so he's kind of simplified things.
Yeah, probably also true.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and even Eve visits him, which is nice.
Yeah. I mean, he did bring her into space under, like he gave her a good pep talk beforehand, so they were on good terms even before this.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. It was pretty nice to see them kind of quote unquote bury the hatchet.
Yeah. Anyway, so speaking of Eve, Invincible needs some. He's got a dilemma. He's got
Or you can say it's not
dilemma.
like, or you could say this whole thing. It's not
It's
that
not that simple.
simple.
It's not that simple.
Exactly. So explain the dilemma.
Okay, so the dilemma is Mark Grayson, that lucky son of a gun. He doesn't know it yet, but he's got two lovely girls on both arms. He's got
Wait, 202 on both? That's 4.
what?
He said 2 lovely girls on both arms.
Yeah, between both arms, he's got two girls.
I mean, the way you word it, says like he says like 2 on each arm.
All right, well, never mind.
I'll go on, Dragon. I know what you mean.
All right, the fact of the matter is, there's two girls. You got Amber. We've gone on a journey with Amber, and here's the thing: we bought Amber back. We like Amber now. We did some damage control, and we like her a lot now.
They actually humanized her.
Exactly. We didn't kick her to the curb like I think we did in the comic. We well, I'm not saying she didn't come back in the comic, but essentially it was like a thing where after the initial breakup with Amber, I think it was a while before she came back. Memory serves. So here, like we kind of did a left turn where it was a lot simpler transition where she left. There's Eve. We're gonna move forward. That's how it went in the comic. Now,
and now
we see the spark with we see the spark with Eve.
Oh yeah,
and we also like Eve.
Yeah, I'm more of a fan. Yeah, Eve definitely.
That's what I'm saying. We like Eve. She's got a lot of good layers to her. She and Mark, they had like a lot of good chemistry in the first season. It seemed like maybe they were gonna go that way with them.
But
that's the thing, So Mark.
But you could say it's not that
simple.
That's
the thing. So their relationship is very complicated.
Or okay, I'm going to drop it now.
It's the fact that it's basically the Lois Lane Superman dilemma, where after Lois is in the know, it's like how can she be mad at Superman or Clark, when she knows that he's flying off to help people and do stuff for the greater good. But we're seeing the realistic aftermath here, where she feels kind of like a bad person for feeling resentful of him doing this, but mainly because she lives such a lonely existence now. Everyone's like, "Hey, where's your boyfriend?" Says, "Oh, he had to go do a thing I can't tell you about." So by proxy, she's a liar by proxy.
Yeah. Was this explored in My Adventures with Superman at all?
Well, all right. So you ever finished that, right?
No, and I don't have Max right now.
All right. Did you ever watch the first episode? That's on YouTube.
Actually, no, I didn't know it was on YouTube.
I can't wait for it to come out on DVD, honestly, because again, with everything with Max, I can't trust anything. I just want to physically own that because I love that show.
Yeah.
It's also on Adult Swim too, if you can access that. But
I did it through Hulu, so I guess I could.
Oh yeah, I can give it a shot. Anyway, they haven't fully gotten to that part of it yet, but they circled it in My Adventures. I don't want to give it away, but yeah, they kind of cover it, but they're probably going to get into like the stuff they're doing here now in Invincible, probably more in a season 2 kind
of thing.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah, but again, we're kind of examining kind of like the real world kind of loneliness, like the partner in the relationship would have dating a superhero. We never talk about that sort of thing, and it's always a thing like Superman's like the miracles engine, where they find a way to make it work, but it might not be as rosy as we think ordinarily, where it's like there's some gaping holes in that relationship.
And as the Incredibles pointed out, that could happen even if both superheroes are married.
True. But there was a little bit more going on there. There was like two two people forced to retire and having very different like views
I
of that retirement.
obviously, I mean, yeah, I know that much, but I'm saying even then, if you are married and you're both superheroes, there are still issues to work through.
That is true.
It's like being superheroes and being married. Neither one of those changes either of those aspects.
But yes, our relationship dilemma was really good here, and I like how we had this. Again, the editing's been really solid this season, especially this episode. We have like he goes to Art, who is Mark, basically who's our Taylor character, is very much our confidant, kind of Alfred-esque, little Lucius Fox, but primarily Mark Hamill, basically doing his Stan Lee voice.
Yep.
Yeah, and yeah, Art gives Mark some really good advice, and we kind of intercut this with Eve and Amber, which again, that's going to be really interesting if we do transition.
It's like, and I do like the parallel of especially the ending of that conversation is like, why are you here talking to me instead of talking to her or him?
Yeah,
That's the real question.
I mean, Eve's a smart character, and so is Art. They're going to
Yep.
have that point.
Yep.
But yeah, a lot of people have been noticing it's going to be really interesting and also maybe potentially awkward. Like, hey, Mark went from Amber to Eve, and they kind of were friends.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot friendlier here than they were then.
Yeah, but you saw how close. I mean, you saw how close they got on the ship.
Yeah.
All right. So
So yeah, so there's Mark has some food for thought there. He also gets a really big piece of plot advice
the
from
book,
Art, but
the books as well.
yeah, so he gets the book. So Nolan, but right before he was captured, he gave Mark like a really important bit of exposition here, saying, "Read my books." It's going to be a big clue, which
Like,
we decipher in this episode.
it's kind of interesting that even at the very beginning there were like seeds of dissent within Nolan.
Oh yeah,
I mean, like considering he apparently he wrote those like when Mark was a baby or when Mark was very young.
yeah.
Like that means that there have been like seeds of doubt with the Viltrumites even back then.
You know, honestly, I think you're right, but I gotta be honest. I read it as Nolan trying to assimilate in
Oh,
trying to blend in. I really thought it was just him, like, it's kind of like in service of. It's kind of a guy who's had a really exciting life. He can't tell anyone about it. He can't really gloat about it, especially with what he has planned. But I think it's just like Nolan.
so he does it vicariously through the books.
Well, yes, but more so this. I think it's that Nolan trying to be a writer, which is his cover story, which eventually he basically was like, as a travel writer. And he wrote like travel brochures and everything. I think is what ultimately what his actual writing gig was. But essentially, Nolan being a writer, I think it's like, well, what do I write about? Like basically, and like I could dispatch with all these things. So I'm going to write about, okay, well, I need to write about my adventures that weren't just conquest. I need to write about my adventures that were actually kind of hairy, but also it's the whole thing of like, how it's kind of a meta thing. You know, how do you write a good Superman story? Well, some half the time you need to give Superman like something that's going to give him some trouble. That he's fighting against that'll give him trouble. Basically, you need to write Superman competently. If like, how can you make Superman not just like like flick the bad guy away?
Like you gotta have like the villain get a one up on Superman, like have some or at least have some kind of stakes where it's like either Superman himself or something he's up against or
So
someone he's trying.
basically, it was is Nolan kind of writing about Krypton? I think because he had to versus like he wanted to. That's kind of where I'm ultimately. That's what I think is that's why the books have what they have in there.
And it has good information on defeating the Viltrumites.
Plus, I'm going to throw this in there. I think maybe the headcanon is that Nolan he stopped writing those books and then he moved on to the travel thing. Maybe he didn't like that vulnerability or looking at himself in like a human way.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, you're probably more right than I am when it comes to that, but I just think
That was just my read on. I don't know if that's what's happening there or not, but it's just a guess.
I mean, we do actually briefly see Nolan in this episode, and of
Oh
course,
yeah,
he doesn't say anything, but we do get him narrating the books.
which is nice, and that's the thing where Jacob, there's all the possibility in the world. We're not going to link. I, I sorry, Smart Money is might be a post credit scene at the very end of this season where we check back in with Nolan again. But I'm thinking this would be a cheat for how we can get Nolan in the story without really doing anything with him until season 3. That's
And
what I think is going to happen.
and of course, so we can hear J.K. Simmons' voice again.
Yeah, that's the thing. So I think like it was a nice cheat. Like we're gonna have J.K. Simmons be present, hear his voice without actually having Nolan in the story because right now we intentionally took him out of the story for a while.
Yeah, he was like the big obstacle of season one.
Yeah,
So now we just need to see who it's going to be for this one.
yeah. All right, let's see. So Debbie and Oliver. So we named the kid. That's big.
after Mark's great grandfather.
I think it was just his
Oh
grandfather.
yeah, his grandfather. Yeah.
There you go. Debbie's dad, I think.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Nolan doesn't have a father. Yeah, it's gonna be Debbie's dad.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
Speaking of which, does that mean his Nolan's name was Grayson even on Viltrum?
well, he is. His name was Nolan on Viltrum, so the Grayson thing.
Either that or he adopted the name when he came to Earth.
I think the last name's probably adopted, but his first name is probably Nolan.
Yep. And all in it. So yeah, so Oliver, he's growing fast and he's still purple.
Yes, and he's starting to talk, the whole mama bra bra thing.
Yep.
Yeah, so so we have this really grounded conversation. We see that Debbie's really guarded with Cecil here, but ultimately she accepts Cecil's offer of a caretaker. Not through Cecil though, but through the caretaker herself, April Wholesome, I think her name is, or Howsome.
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, so April just calls it out like, hey, look, I mean, yes, Cecil sent me here, but I work for you,
Yep.
Essentially that's why I have like a very special skill set. So because of that, I don't answer to Cecil, I answer to you, really. At least that's what she says, and we don't know. Again, we just don't know how much can we trust that.
Yeah, for all we know, she could still be reporting to Cecil.
The real question is, do you think that nanny beforehand, do you think she was a legit nanny, or do you think Cecil sent her and Debbie called it? Like, do you think Cecil sent more than one person?
I honestly have no idea. It's entirely possible, and Debbie seemed to be sure that it's like I know one of Cecil's pawns when I see one.
Yeah. So I don't know if the gag is that Debbie just throwing random conspiracies at that lady, but then again, that lady like just seeing a purple child and not freaking out. Like I don't know.
Either that or Debbie's just paranoid, which
yeah,
justifiably paranoid, but paranoid nonetheless.
Yeah.
But yeah, for all we know, we'll never know.
But it's nice that Debbie found a caretaker, and like someone's going to need to help her out. But I do suspect at some point, I think April might turn on Debbie if things go south between Cecil and Mark.
And considering what has done previously, it wouldn't be completely out of the ordinary if it did happen.
No.
I mean, look what the guy's been able to do.
Oh yeah.
Especially with Donald.
Poor Donald.
Yep. As a robo skeleton basically, but.
Wait, Jacob, are you saying Donald is a robot?
Nah.
You're right. Just goes beep boop 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 beep beep bop. No, I was just song you heard on the radio. Anyway,
not beep boop boop beep.
Boop boop bop.
It's like call the dragon. Call the Navy.
Not the Navy.
Yes, the Navy's. Hello, you've reached the Navy's automated messaging service.
They got the Navy.
Not the Navy.
Oh, Jacob, we know it's not that simple.
Yep. See, there it is again.
Yep. Okay. Let's see where. Oh, speaking of Donald, though. Rick, the college student that Will was dating, he's on the mend. He's seemingly recovered, and we have this really nice bit with Donald, where Donald has taken it upon himself to facilitate, the reacclimation of Rick back in the civilian life, and
Yeah.
it's important that Donald facilitates this because he's a lot of empathy for Rick. He sees a lot of himself in Rick, and I just love that moment where Mark is genuinely asking if Donald's okay. It was nice, you know,
Yeah, it was.
because Donald's always like in the background. Like no one ever gives Donald like a moment. Like, but you know, the fact that Invincible gave him like a, I don't know, it feels kind of nice.
It is nice.
Yeah. All right,
But
let's see. Yeah, go on.
Will the he's feeling weird about the whole thing.
Well, yeah.
I mean, and Rick. I mean, even Rick's being feeling weird about the whole thing too. I mean, brought back to life, not remembering anything. It's
Yeah, there's a numbness. There's a numbness to get over, and you know, Ricky's like, yeah, he's back, but he's been through a very. But again, Donald's moment to like, no, something did happen. You know, it's like the whole like, no, we're not brushing this on the rug. Something did happen, and we have to move forward from it.
yep, the trauma.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so what's next?
Let's see. So I guess bumping around a little bit here. Okay, so we're evaluating the relationship. I mean, we kind of talked through a lot of it already here. Let me see if there's any. So Nolan again. So Nolan's books revealed to be based on his real adventures. You know, which basically you know are kind of the key. All the struggles that he had are kind of clues to defeating the Viltrumites.
The Infinity Ray.
Yep, the Infinity Ray, which may or it sounds like it's a real thing. The point being, the guy who used the Infinity Ray is real, the space racer.
Legendary. He's a legend because he's legendary,
Yeah.
according to Alan.
Well,
Which
yeah,
you,
I believe it if Alan says that.
in this case, it is nice to have Alan back.
Oh, we love Alan.
Oh yeah.
I'm so tickled pink that Alan shows up and it's like, oh God, where does he live on the looking at the Earth like a map? It's like just having no idea. Like, and then before they go, oh well, listen, before we go, can you point to exactly where you live? You're from space.
Yeah. I mean, Earth is big, Dragon.
Yep. Anyway, so Alan returns, and so the immortal. This whole episode, you know, he gave this really nice eulogy about Kate, and the idea being that Kate had a very unique power set that you know basically it seemed like at the very least it would be a long while before she would die, given the fact that the fact that Kate has a relationship with death, and that her whole power says like she has to watch herself die like constantly with the whole like you know duplicating power set.
Yeah.
And Immortal found someone he kind of had a kinship with, and he hasn't had that really in a long time. Like, he's had relationships and everything, but not ones that kind of maybe had like a potential for state power.
Yeah, I mean, seeing their connection was pretty interesting. I mean, a guy who can't die versus and someone who dies constantly.
I just love that you know we have like these quiet scenes like the Immortal and Black Samson having a little conversation like you know Kate hated the rain like that kind of
And
stuff.
it's like, I don't understand. I've been with so many people and I've outlived all of them. Why do I feel this way?
Yeah.
And then he's like, because you love her, man.
So Cecil sees the writing on the wall. Immortals not doing. And this is kind of a good payoff actually. We've never really brought it to the forefront here, but we kind of see it in action where the Immortals had these really cool moments before where he kind of like comes back to life in a rage. And it's not to say the Immortal hasn't died, but you get the sense the Immortal hasn't died often. You know, where, for example, one of the coolest things about the Immortal is that the Immortal is technically Abraham Lincoln.
What do you mean?
Yeah, so in you see it in the first season briefly. It's in the comic too, from what I recall. But you kind of get a glimpse of when the Immortal, like his life flashes before his eyes when he comes back to life. You know, basically how he got his powers and everything going forward. You see, because again, if you look at his beard and everything, basically it's like the Lincoln assassination happens. That was like probably one of a handful of deaths that he's had over the years that's killed him. But he's come back or he's reconstituted himself, I
So
guess.
he was literally Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, he literally Abraham Lincoln. Yes.
Huh.
So that's the thing. At least in the world of Invincible, like the immortal was Abraham Lincoln. One of his past gigs, like it being immortal.
Like, you think he'd bring that up more. It's like, hey, I was the president of the United States
You
once.
would think. You would think. I mean, Lincoln was heroic too, so it's.
Like, if it's actually true, he's like, you'd think he'd bring that up more, unless he's like trying to be humble about it.
Yeah, I think he's being humble about it. I really do.
I
Plus, I
mean,
mean, who would believe him too?
he's like, hey, I'm Abraham Lincoln. Yeah,
Like, yeah,
right.
sure you are. Yeah, I think the immortal means more like senile.
It's like, sure you are, mortal. Sure.
Yeah, sure you are. No, hey, don't look at me like that. I wore the hat and everything. Hey, where's your mold? Come on! I've had my head cut off.
Yeah, and that means technically he would have children that are all alive to this day.
Yeah, and so that's the thing. It does read to me that, and we've seen this every time he flies into a ridge over Omni-Man, and I like to think that's kind of like a little bit of a Lazarus Pit effect. And again, not Lazarus Pit in that he was dipped in the pit or anything, just the idea that the reason the Lazarus Pit drives people crazy, as we've established, is that that's it's like the traumatic event of coming back to life and like the whole probably the whole thing of life flashing before your eyes and everything, but also just like the whole thing of like it's a very traumatic event to happen.
Now the Lazarus Pit doesn't make you go cuckoo if you're still alive, right?
Uh,
At
well,
least that's what seemed to be implied in Under the Red Hood.
uh, well, let me put it this way, Jacob. If you look at, well, it's hard to say because you look at Batman the Animated Series, for example. Ra's al Ghul is dying, but he's not quite dead. But even if he was, it's kind of hard to say. In Batman the Animated Series, like he stopped breathing and then he went into the pit. So I don't know if that means he was necessarily dead or but more so in the process of dying when they put him in the pit. So that seemed to be still kind of alive. Uh, Later on in Batman Beyond, Bruce Wayne is alive and put in the pit, and there was temporary insanity. So I think I think the pit in general is kind of traumatic. But if the whole when you bring someone fully back from the dead, there's an unpredictability to it. So that's
Yeah.
more than temporary insanity. For example, if you went into the pit and you were healthy, there's temporary insanity. Like Rachel gets slapped and he's back to normal.
But then you have Jason Todd.
Yeah, Jason Todd. That's a thing where if you bring some like basically Lazarus Pit is not intended necessarily to bring it's you're really not supposed to bring someone back. You're supposed to like restore the sick and dying versus like the dead. So that's the thing where you can bring back the dead, but it's like that's why it's a messy process.
And then again, that's more in the movie, whereas the comics he came back to life because Superboy punched a hole in reality.
Yeah, which is far better. But I'm just saying in general though, like Brace has also been fully dead in the comics, and they brought him back using the pit. But that's the thing. When you do that, he gets like more unpredictable. So my whole point with the Lazarus things is when someone comes back from the dead period, like the Immortal, he's charged up, he's remembering the last thing, which traditionally is Omni-Man like cutting his head off or cutting his body in half, and he ain't happy about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's reasonable.
So because of that, there's like a mental instability with the Immortal that is justifiable and understand where it comes from. And I think because he's in that state of mind, and Cecil's like seeing the writing on the wall, okay, this guy's already a little unstable.
He wants him to take vacation.
Wants him to take a vacation. I think a very reasonable request. Get his head on straight to process his grief.
And of course, the Merle's like, I'm fine. Which is basically like, if anyone has to scream that they're fine, they're not fine. Most of the time they're not. Most of the time they're not fine. But even if he was going to go on vacation, it gets short lived because of a certain extraterrestrial visitor.
Yeah, someone's coming in hot. He thinks it's Omni-Man come back again. He's not really looking at. If he just waited, he would have seen who it is and then flew there.
Yeah, and then who does it turn out to be?
It's Alan the alien.
Or, as we determined last episode, Alan the Swolian.
Well, yes, yeah.
But Alan the new and improved Alan the alien.
Yep.
And Thetis, who thankfully is not evil.
Thank goodness.
And I know. I still can't believe he tore off his beard, and that's what's like. You're a Viltrumite.
It's so funny. It's just such a funny.
Yeah, it's the mustache. It's like the beard. No, he's fine. Tears off the. Only has the mustache. Holy crap, he's a Viltrumite.
I love, by the way, that this informs Alan's line here to the immoral. Like, your beard, it's not even a good beard. It's missing missing all the cool beard parts, which he basically establishes the mustache part of the beard.
Like, I have both.
Well, good for you, Jacob.
It's like, but I'm not a Viltrumite, obviously.
Yep. See, if you didn't have that, if you didn't have the mustache part, you might be immortal. You might be.
Might be.
Well, look at Ra's al Ghul.
Which version of Ra's al Ghul?
Oh, well, honestly, I don't think I'm trying to. Well, I guess not counting the Liam Neeson bird. Even then, honestly, I have to look at it. I forget if he has the mustache part of that or not. But
no idea. But either way, Invincible comes in to basically put a stop to their fight.
It's kind of a weird thing. Cause I'm thinking like 3 immortal characters that do not have like mustaches, like as part of their facial hair. Because you have the immortal, you have Ra's al Ghul, and you have Vandal Savage.
Vandal Savage.
I mean, traditionally, they do not have like the little like bridge mustache to their facial hair.
Weird.
Yeah. Anywho, yes. So it shows up there. Alan's doing his telekinetic.
And the funny thing is, two of those three are villains.
Yeah. so yeah, he's so Alan's doing his telepathic, kind of space communication thing, which is basically how he, he's how he communicates with Invincible in space, and apparently he's doing that with the immortal. There's a hilarious limitation to this power.
It's only to the person facing directly. We can't communicate with each other.
I like that he mentions like we're hoping to update that, essentially like a software patch or something.
Yeah.
Sounds really funny, and I wonder how that even works.
It is a glaring flaw.
Yes. So basically, he has to interpret hilariously initially.
It's like he
I'm
said,
king of space.
He's like, he's also the king of space.
Yeah. Okay, then everything gets real. But initially, the immortal doesn't like people in his head, and he flies into a rage. Like, you work for Omni-Man sent you. He's like, no, wait. And he's like, I'll kill you. We just met.
Yeah, Alan's being reasonable here.
God, I love Alan.
Alan's pretty reasonable.
I love that Alan was like, sir, I don't want to hurt you or anything. Then he gets poked in the eye. Oh, you crossed the line. Oh.
You don't go for the eye.
Seth Rogen, man. I love that Seth Rogen seems to be like a signature in these. He's a signature in these gritty superhero Amazon shows.
Like, so
he's in The Boys. He's in Invincible.
Yeah, he wasn't in The Tick though.
Well, that wasn't gritty though. Admittedly, yes, there was some blood, but it wasn't really gritty.
No, but he still wasn't. It's another Amazon superhero show.
Well, yeah,
and he wasn't
a gritty one.
Yeah, but it's still
that's the thing. It's got to be Seth Rogen. It's got to be Amazon. It's got to be gritty.
And was it still MA though?
Wait, oh yeah, you're right. The Tick. Yeah, I guess. Okay. Oh, never mind.
Speaking of Seth Rogen and superhero stuff, what do you think of the whole Venom thing?
I'm sorry, what?
Isn't he working on the animated Venom movie?
This is news to me. I never heard about that.
I mean, I think I don't know if it's confirmed or anything, but I think there's a rumor going around that he's working on a R-rated or some animated Venom movie with Sony.
Oh, God. See, I only trust Sony doing their animated stuff, but even so, it's like, I don't know. I don't think they're ever going to learn.
It's a rumor. I don't know if it's like, I don't remember if it's like explicitly confirmed or anything, but
I remember Deadpool was supposed to get an animated show. It looked really good because they put like the animatic of an episode online. But yeah, it was, that didn't.
Was Nolan North doing the voice?
Well, one thing, it didn't really get far enough to know who they were going to officially cast as Deadpool. They had some test animation that had like the Ryan Reynolds audio from the Deadpool movie test footage playing.
Yeah.
And then the animatic, I don't know if the animatic was the final voice for Deadpool or not. So I don't know if they were going to get Nolan North or not. But the jury was out. But I have a feeling they weren't going to get him, but I don't know.
Another Nolan.
That's a thing. Anywho,
one could say that You know what they say about getting animated series made, Dragon?
Get Nolan North.
That and
It's it's
that's
not
not
that
that
simple.
simple. Exactly.
It's not that simple.
See, it all ties together.
You're right, it does. Okay, anyway, so Alan, like you basically once they properly communicate to the well, did I attack you at all? Did I do anything to offend you?
Yeah, he gets all in the immortal's face.
Then the immoral goes, I thought you were someone else, and then Mark
And
fills him in like his girlfriend does. Oh, now I feel like the douchebag. They do have those here, right? I'm not making an empty reference. Like that's a thing here, right?
yeah. Does the immortal have a real name, more that we know of?
What's Abraham Lincoln?
No, I mean, like, is he in this show? Is he referred to as anything other than
No,
immortal?
they just call him the immortal.
Like Mister the Immortal,
I mean, pretty much.
like is the part of his name.
I think they shorthand him to immortal.
It's like it's like
I
all
think
right,
Cecil calls him immortal.
like all right, Mister the Immortal.
Okay.
So all
Anyway,
right,
so the Alan
Abraham,
returns.
so after Abraham floats back to Earth.
Yep. I'll go. I'll go free the slaves. I'll be back.
Yeah, you're kind of late for that
I did it already. I'll do it again. There's got to be some slavery going on. I'm just let me float around. Let me
All
see
right.
it. Who wants some emancipation? Free emancipation here.
All right,
It's like a little
Dragon.
brings like a little lemonade stand. Says emancipation. No 5 cents. A penny actually. I need more of myself. I need all pennies.
Oh God.
He'll free.
Anyway,
He'll free everyone just for a penny.
anyway.
Anyway. So Alan's back, and basically he lays out the whole Thetis thing. That he basically, Thetis was like the first Viltrumite to rebel, and they wanted like a team of three and kind of build from there, overthrow the Viltrum Empire.
And he brings Alan back to the dorm, and like he puts the sock on the door. He's like, you know where I come from. A sock on the door means someone's.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it means that here too.
Yep.
Grace and like Mark just straight up points out, yeah, that it means the same thing here. And then he like explains the whole situation, even instead of he and of course like he goes into this whole spiel about having Mark join, but Mark's like, I just came back from space
Twice.
twice. Yeah.
So basically, Mark's response ultimately to Alan is,
No.
"It's not that simple."
It's not that simple.
I'm sorry, Alan. It's not that simple.
But you know what is simple?
What?
The books.
Yes, he he basically scans the books, which confirms his Mark's theory that these are based on real events. They are. Scans them all really fast and economically, but that's really impressive. They can scan all those in like every page.
It is kind of nice. He didn't even have to open them.
I know. I love that. That was awesome.
It's like I would read so much more if I could do that.
Yeah, that doesn't. I can't even. I can't even like properly transfer my audiobooks without having like do like a file converter thing. So like that's impressive to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just like scan the book and it's all immediately inputted into your brain.
Yeah.
It's like
I
wow,
don't know
that
if it's
book.
going into his brain. I think it's going into his device, but it
I
could go into his brain. We don't know.
I know, but it's like
But
Barnes and
he
Noble.
can like read people's minds, so you don't know.
Barnes and Noble would go out of business,
That's true.
and then authors would have to write so much. Other than let's say like they block the devices from entering, and you have to buy the books first. It's
Yep.
like, and then authors would have to like write so much more at once.
Yep. Well, here's what they do, Jake. They would still sell the books, but at Barnes and Nobles though, you'd have like it's like you go to a pharmacy or something. You have like the glass cases. Can I take that out?
Like, sure, pay up.
Yeah, but it's the thing of like you have to do it with intent to buy though. It's like, well, okay, well if you flip through this and you want it, we'll let you scan it, and we'll let you buy it, then you can scan it at home.
Like if you scanned it at the store, you can like read you can like scan like an excerpt of it.
Yeah, there you go. The
And then
barcode thing.
yeah, just like read like the first chapter, like download the first chapter into your brain.
Yep, and then use the book to prop up your coffee table.
Yes.
It's like the wobbly table. Like, let me just put it under there, and there we go.
Yep. But either way, yeah, Alan's device is cool.
Yeah. Okay. Meanwhile, General Krieg, voiced by Clancy Brown. He wants Nolan. Apparently, we kind of
Like
we yep.
it's, I just mentioned I just finished watching Megas XLR, and
Yes.
it is kind of funny how his voice sounds exactly like Gorath.
Pretty much. Well, pretty. Gorath's a lot angrier.
I know, but it has like the same throaty inflections.
This is Clancy coming in. Okay, guys, what do you want me to do today? Can you
Cool.
do angry space guys? Can I?
Yeah. Yes, I can.
No, but initially he says, I don't know, guys. It's not that simple.
It's not that simple.
Says like, no, I'm just kidding you. Just give me a second. Let me finish my coffee. Okay, here we go.
Yep. It's like he sounds almost exactly like Gorath.
So apparently, we learned that the Viltrumites they will execute their own, but they really don't want to. Because they want to waste a good Viltrumite if they can.
It's like, and they're like, and they
Because
decide
Nolan is legendary for his planet conquest.
and they decide to. It's like they decide that Earth must basically be destroyed because it must be toxic if it can do this to you.
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh, heaven forbid he gain a conscience of some kind.
Yeah, so Nolan's not happy about that. So Nolan's gonna have to do something active soon.
And Nolan's definitely on the good, seemingly going over to the good guy's side now.
Yeah.
Seemingly. But we don't. So, but we've seen that other Viltrumites could even be more powerful than he is. So,
Oh yeah.
especially if they have especially a Viltrumite is strong on their own, but in numbers.
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, that was their secret, Jacob. We saw kind of briefly in the flashbacks, like that's how they would really overthrow a place, where it's like there's like a whole bunch of Viltrumites. That's how you do. Like that's how you take over a planet like a day.
You have just basically like, yeah, we're here now, and that'll happen if you don't follow us.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we surrender. So,
Yep.
so yeah, the Viltrumites not to be trifled with, and Nolan is defecting. It seems.
Yes.
Yeah, that are resisting, and who knows? Who knows what Nolan's gonna do?
All right. So two other things happen in the episode.
Yeah.
Russ doing his, cleaning up the mess that Shapesmith left.
Yep, including the this like leftover Chinese food that is like rotted, basically.
It makes him feel sick. He throws up in the sink, but
I was like, when I saw that, I was like, oh, is that really necessary?
yeah, but
but
it is.
but then you see something move in the sink.
Yeah, it's more leftover Chinese food.
Well, actually, it's not that simple.
No, it isn't.
It's it's freaking Cicquid.
It's a sequid, and it attaches itself again. It's like, well, gotta do it all over again. It's on the planet now.
Yep, and he's gotten taken over again.
Now, here's my question to you. Okay.
Yes.
Now, do you think this happened only to him because he was like taken over for so long and covered by a bazillion of these things, or do you think Eve and Rudy are in equal trouble because they only briefly were they taken control of briefly, but they weren't covered. It's like one each, maybe two tops.
That's a good question.
Yeah,
I mean, I think it's just more like he was attached to them for so long, and one of them got inside him.
that's what I think. Honestly, that's what I think. But I
mean, they've never really hinted that they act like a face hugger in any way. You know, like where they don't you don't latch onto it and insert like their DNA into it and they grow inside. They're not like a parasite. Never mention them like being that kind of parasite.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
No, I know. It's a thing. It never looked like that, but clearly that's happened to this guy at least.
Or at least one of them got inside his system.
Yeah.
And they brought him, and now he's brought to Earth, and now they're gonna be back again. And depending on how fast they multiply,
You're probably wondering, How could things possibly get any worse for Mark Grayson and company?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Dragon. So answer us that.
Angstrom Levy, he's got a new suit.
Angstrom Levi. Is it Levi or Levy?
I think it's Levy.
Probably right.
I think. I'm pretty sure. It's so funny. I was actually watching a movie with Sterling K. Brown recently. Like before, I saw this before I saw the movie, but it's fact like, oh my god, there he is again.
Yeah, he gets around.
He does. Anyway, so now we knew Angstrom was coming back. We've been building him up. He's presumably, if the comics any indicator, what I can tell you is that Angstrom Levy, when he exacts his revenge, it's a pretty dark moment. It's a pretty he's an maybe not dark. It's an intimidating moment. He's very intimidating when he exacts his revenge.
I still remember the first episode of this season. Where it's like, I will not rest until I've killed Invincible.
There you go.
And like everyone else like paused early in that episode, like pausing that episode. that was great.
Oh yeah. So
that was the last time we saw him too.
Well, no, we checked in with him during another post credit, but that was the seemingly yeah.
We haven't seen much of him though.
Yeah, you're right. That's one other time. So there you go.
Yeah, so he's up to something, and he went back to a new city.
Yes. So Angstrom Levy's back. He's got a new suit to cover his icky brain.
Even though part of it's like still literally jutting out.
Well, I mean, you can't help that.
Yeah, I mean,
he's got brain hair now.
If he hadn't taken off the helmet, he would have been fine.
And it's his own fault.
Yep.
Oh, to me, I mean, look, he did that to save Invincible, which is so apropos. He did that to save Invincible. So again, that was like again, remember the interesting thing about Angstrom Levy is that he's bad right now only because he has the memories of the one from the opening of season of episode 1 of season 2. Like he had the one that was like overrun by the bad Invincible.
Of all of the different Angstrom Levies throughout the multiverse.
Yeah, that's the one that's kind of like that essentially is running the show now because of all the brain stuff. So that's the thing. Technically, Angstrom Levy, if he's the main one, Levy Prime, not a bad guy, but now, that's the one who's driving.
Basically driven insane by all the alternate versions of himself within his head.
Yep.
So I wonder where exactly he went.
Well, I mean, I think he's there. I mean, that's a city. I assume the city he's in was like actually, like the main. I think he's back now. He's going to exact his revenge.
Well, it's kind of interesting considering he had to go to like a tailor with 4 arms to make his suit.
Well, yeah, he's been going around anyway, and we have to show that he's coming back. So it's like he went from there. He's walked through. A lot of people speculated for a moment he walked through the Walking Dead universe because he had like a zombie. Zombie place.
When I saw that, I was like, "Is that The Walking Dead?"
That's the fan theory. I don't think anything conflicts with that. I mean, might as well,
I mean, yeah, it's probably like something that Kirkman threw in as an Easter egg or something.
Yeah.
And considering one of the voice of Invincible was in Walking Dead.
Yeah, especially in the first season, like pretty much almost the entire cast. It's like a large majority of the cast is like Walking Dead alumni. All the Guardians of the Globe before they got killed off were Walking Dead people. That's the gag.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so Angstrom Levy's back, and he wants revenge.
Yep, he wants to kill
Invincible.
But Dragon,
it's not that
simple. It's like it's not that easy to kill. Not that simple to kill Invincible.
No,
I said invisible.
Where did he go? That Invincible.
Oh God.
Anyway, that's the episode. Thanks for tuning in, Code Geass anime fan, and whoever else is watching this retroactively.
Yep, thank you all for watching. But that's another thing that's simple, Dragon. Watching us.
Yeah, that is simple.
Yep. Watching us is one thing, putting up with us, maybe that's not so simple.
One could say, it's not that simple!
And good night, folks.
Night.